Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Science Rules the World. Today, we're going to look at some living things and talk about how they pass on their features from one generation to the next. That is heredity. It's easy to study in pea plants. I'm going to use the ones that are actually in my garden. I'm going to talk about dominant versus recessive and look at some. All right. A trait is something you can notice about an organism, like how many eyebrows a person has. That's people. Pea plants we'll talk about in a minute. The genes are the information the organism uses to make those traits. You have two for each one, pretty much. One from your father, one from your mother, makes two. In many cases, one of them is dominant, which means if one of these two is the dominant form, that's what you will see. Recessive backs up. If there's no dominant one, and they're both recessive, that's the form of the trait you will see. Dominant does not mean that it comes from your father. It has nothing whatsoever to do with that. All right, and just so you know, the dominant form of how many eyebrows does a person have is 1. The recessive form is 2. So dominant also does not mean that's the one you see the most, because most people don't have unibrows. Most of us have 2 eyebrows, and a lot of people who don't normally have 2 eyebrows will have work done so it looks like they do. Well, here are the features we can look at in pea plants, the traits we can examine. Their height, where the flowers are, what color the flowers are. We're going to look at that right now. And we also can look at the color and shape of peas. Right, most of the peas you eat are green, which is interestingly the recessive form of the trait. Most of them are round, some of them are wrinkly. All right, there's nothing wrong with them. You can eat them. Okay, we are going to concentrate today. We're going to look at some seeds, but we're going to look at some plants growing over there in the garden and look at how tall, their height, where the flowers are, and what the colors are. All right, now a pea plant is either tall or short. There's no in between, and you can definitely tell the difference. Where are the flowers coming off? You can also tell that. And if they're coming off the side, they do not also have one on the top. All right, and the flowers come in 2 colors. One plant has 1 color, not some of each. Okay? But these traits all sort independently from each other when they are genes are being passed on from one generation to the next, so they can get all mixed up. All right, so here are the 4 types of seeds we planted in the garden. As you can see, 2 of them are green, 2 of them are yellow, 2 are round, 2 are wrinkly. The color does not determine the shape. They're independent of each other, independent assortment. And here are our subject pea plants. Notice they're all planted in the same garden. So they have the same soil conditions, the same amount of sunlight, the same amount of water, the same temperatures. Everything's the same, except for the genes inside the seeds that we planted. That's the only thing that affects what these pea plants look like. And as you can see, some of them are tall and some of them are not. All right, so let's look at some specific examples. Here's one. It's growing up the support we have for it to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th horizontal ring. And these squares are about 6 inches. Okay, all the way up here to the 6th ring. Here are some flowers, and here are some flowers. Coming off, see they come off. As stalks coming off the stem, there's not one up here at the top. Okay, and notice what color they are. All right, now are there any dominant traits showing in this plant? Yes, it's tall. It has the axial flowers coming off the stem. Those are both dominant forms. But the color of the flowers, white, is a recessive form. Dominant and recessive forms of different traits, independent assortment. No, nothing says that if you're dominant for one thing, you're dominant for everything. Here's another plant. All right, this one comes up to the 1, 2, not even the third ring. So this one is short. Okay, here come the flowers off here and here. There's the top of the plant over there. Okay, the colors of the flowers. So the height of the plant is the recessive form because it's short. The location of the flowers is the dominant form because it's coming off the stem. Again, white flowers, recessive. All right, let's see. I'll pick another couple of plants. You make the determinations. 1, 2, 3. All right, have that one figured out? Let's try one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Figure something out about this plant. All right, where we see flowers now, we will eventually see pods. And they will be green or yellow. And they will be inflated or constricted. And when the peas inside are fully grown and we pick them, we'll be able to see their color and their shape, just like the seeds we planted to grow them. And we will come back and we will look at that. That's going to happen a little later. All right, well, thanks for coming to Science Rules the World. Again, all right. Now I want you to figure out, how does water that the plants soak up from the ground get all the way up here to the top? Talked about that in a different episode of Science Rules the World. Thanks for coming to this one, and I hope to see you next time on Science Rules the World. Bye.